Welcome to the deep dive. Do you ever feel completely swamped by, well, just the sheer amount of information coming at you? Always wishing someone could just, cut through the noise and tell you what actually matters.
Yeah, that's pretty much a universal feeling these days, isn't it?
Exactly. And that's what we're here for. We aim to unpack some complex topics and give you insights you can actually use, stuff you won't get just skimming the headlines.
And today, we've got a really interesting mix. We're diving into three, well, they seem distinct, but you'll see how they connect. First, the whole tricky area of self-appointed experts, particularly in coaching, ethics, impact, all that.
Oh.
Then, something we can all relate to, the sheer frustration when technology just lets you down.
Don't get me started, yeah.
And finally, something really crucial in communication. Figuring out the difference between genuine, helpful feedback and, well, just criticism.
Right. So our mission today is basically to pull out the most important nuggets from our research on this, maybe uncover a few surprising things along the way, and just help you make sense of what's really going on in these areas, and hopefully keep it engaging, add a bit of personality.
Sounds good. Let's jump in.
Okay, first up, this idea of healing in public. It sounds a bit dramatic, maybe, but it's about something we're seeing more and more. We're talking coaches, influencers, sometimes even leaders charging quite a bit of money
Yeah, serious one.
for healing or coaching, but, and this is the kicker, without really having done the deep inner work themselves or, having the actual experience needed.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how many people just sort of
Yeah.
declare themselves experts?
Ah.
The sources we looked at really highlight this. It often seems like their authority comes more from maybe ego than from actual substantial personal work or proper study.
Mm.
But it's not just ego, is it? It taps into something deeper in society, I think.
Right.
This hunger for quick fixes, the illusion you can just become an expert overnight.
That's a really important point because, if you haven't genuinely wrestled with your own stuff, how can you ethically guide someone else through theirs?
Exactly.
And our sources point out this makes it incredibly hard for the really good experienced coaches, the ones who have done the work.
They just get lumped in.
Yeah, they get put in the same bucket, as one source put it, with people who might lack real substance.
It really brings up that core question about the value of, lived experience.
Mm.
One perspective we found was really strong on this. You need to work on yourself first, like clean up house, before you even think about coaching others.
Makes sense.
And this person mentioned their own journey, like 15 years of self-work, loads of training, suggesting that kind of deep personal investment is, well, pretty crucial.
There was that story, too, about the guy wanting to be a life coach. That really hit home for me.
Oh, yeah. Tell us about that one.
Well, he apparently admitted, quite openly, that he hadn't done any personal development work himself. Zero. Just about to take a 5-day course.
Wow, 5 days.
Right. And he thought because he'd run a business, that somehow qualified him for life coaching.
Which covers everything, doesn't it?
Everything. Relationships, health, spirituality, dealing with judgment. The range is huge. One source mentioned this idea of a book library test.
Ah, yeah.
Just thinking about the sheer volume of knowledge and integrated wisdom a good coach needs to draw on, it's not trivial.
And it's not just coaching either. The material sort of touches on this observation, maybe a controversial one, that some people go into psychology partly to work themselves out.
I've heard that theory.
And look, self-awareness is vital, of course, but it does make you question, are they fully ready to guide others through really complex emotional stuff if their own journey is still the primary focus?
So it's definitely not just about knowing the theory then, is it? It's about actually bridging that gap, the application gap.
Totally. True coaching, as the sources describe it, it's about guiding people because you've actually been through that problem yourself. You've found ways through it.
Right.
It's not just regurgitating what somebody else has taught them. Writing books is great, but there's no substitute for experience.
None.
Yeah,
You have to live it, integrate it.
exactly. That knowledge needs to be integrated, acted on, not just understood on a conceptual level. There's that example of the emotional intelligence guru
Oh, yeah.
who is apparently still just lecturing people without demonstrating that real-world application in their own behavior. It just undermines the whole message.
If you haven't embodied it yourself,
Yeah.
how can you truly teach it?
It really touches on a serious ethical level, doesn't it? And the potential damage that can be done by people who lack that practical lived knowledge.
And thinking about, unqualified advice generally,
Yeah.
modern tech throws another wrench in the works.
How so?
Well, our research turned up this pretty concerning stat. Apparently, 49% of people who use AI for creating content, they don't edit or check it before publishing.
Nearly half. Wow.
Yeah. So you've got advice floating around, maybe really sensitive advice, based purely on algorithms, unchecked by any human experience or expertise.
That's worrying.
And add to that this observation that most life coaches are aged between 19 and 25. Now, no disrespect to young people, but
But you do have to question the depth of wisdom and lived experience they've likely accumulated at that age, right?
it's especially for life coaching.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So for you listening to this, if you're looking for genuine guidance, the sources offer a really clear action plan. Quiz your coach.
Okay, what does that involve?
Ask them directly. What's your personal experience with the specific thing I need help with? How have you applied these principles or techniques in your own life?
Mm-hmm. And the results.
And what results did you get? Crucially, a good coach, the material suggests, knows how to ask the questions from a lived background. They've been there.
That makes a lot of sense. You want someone who's navigated the terrain, not just read the map. Exactly. Okay, so from the sometimes questionable wisdom of self-appointed experts, let's pivot. Let's talk about something probably everyone experiences. Technology letting you down.
Ah, yes. The daily struggle. There's that saying, right? Just because I'm paranoid doesn't mean technology isn't out to get me.
Huh. Yeah, that sums it up sometimes.
It really feels like the classic overpromise and underdeliver situation, doesn't it? Our sources really nailed how these, daily tech frustrations can just bugger up the whole day.
Totally. Software updates that move buttons you use all the time. Facebook is famous for this.
Oh, yeah. We're trying to get tech support and hitting a wall, or just getting useless advice. It's a constant battle.
And the hardware. The hardware headaches are just as bad, if not worse sometimes.
Like the Apple Touch Bar story.
Oh, that was a classic example from the research. This person's laptop touch bar starts flashing erratically. They take it in, get quoted.
Yeah.
What was it?
Over $900. $932, I think.
$900 for a flashing bar. And what did they end up doing?
Stuck a piece of cardboard over it. Problem solved. For free.
It's almost funny, but it also makes you think, doesn't it? Why did it malfunction in the first place? And why on earth is the official fix so insanely expensive?
And it's not just about minor inconveniences, is it? When you zoom out, the scary thing is, we entrust our very lives to this technology that can be so spectacularly unreliable.
Ew.
The sources mentioned a, quote, spectacular global IT failure of 2024. It just highlights how fragile things are when the systems we depend on wobble.
So it makes you ask, why? What's the hidden reason behind some of these tech fails and frustrations?
Well, often the finger points towards planned obsolescence. That seems to be a recurring theme.
Right, like that DNS mystery example.
Explain that one again.
Okay, so picture this. Someone can't get to a specific meeting room website or even just general websites on their home internet. Everything else seems fine. But certain sites, nope.
Okay.
But then they try using their phone as a hotspot and suddenly everything works perfectly.
So it's definitely the home internet line.
Exactly. And this person, luckily, had a background in telecom. They figured out it was likely an issue with their internet provider's DNS server. That's the thing that translates website names into addresses computers understand.
Right, like a phone book for the internet.
Pretty much. So they bypassed the ISP's faulty DNS, used a public one, and bam, problem solved. But the ISP themselves, they kept denying there was any issue on their end.
Infuriating. And so common, it feels like pulling teeth sometimes just to get them to acknowledge a problem.
It really does. And then there's the whole forced software update nightmare, especially with older devices.
Oh, yeah. Your perfectly good iPad suddenly becomes incompatible with new apps or slows down to a crawl after an update.
Exactly. You lose functionality, not because the hardware broke, but because the software basically bricks it.
There was that parallel with the old iPod too, wasn't there?
Yeah, interesting one. Someone had an ancient iPod, like early 2000s, still worked perfectly fine, played music.
Amazing. Built like tanks back then.
But iTunes, or whatever the software is now, keeps nagging them with updates. Updates that, if installed, would probably make the iPod useless because it uses, quote, old data or old operating system. The software just refuses to play nice with older tech.
It feels deliberately designed to push you towards buying new things.
But on the flip side, there's that glimmer of hope with DIY fixes, like the person who replaced their own Apple laptop battery using a YouTube tutorial.
Yeah, taking back control. It shows you can sometimes fight back against planned obsolescence if you're willing to tinker.
Definitely empowering. But then you hit other walls like data
Oh,
access.
the photo problem. Yeah.
Thousands of old photos stored somewhere, but software updates mean you can't easily access them anymore. And you're terrified that trying to revert to an older system might wipe out all your current data.
It's a digital trap. Your memory is held hostage by software updates.
So the bottom line, according to the sources we looked at, is that companies are often laser focused on making money. That means built-in redundancy, encouraging churn rates.
Rather than genuinely looking after their customers or making devices that actually last.
Yeah. And it kind of reflects a broader superficiality in our society, doesn't it? Where it's just become acceptable to throw it away the second something stops working perfectly instead of valuing durability or repair.
It's the disposable culture, writ large in our gadgets.
Okay. So we've talked coaches, we've talked tech. Let's move into our third area, communication. Specifically, this idea of constructive criticism.
Ah, yes, that phrase.
What immediately jumped out at me from the research was the bold claim that constructive criticism is basically an oxymoron, a contradiction in terms.
Explain that. Why an oxymoron?
Well, the argument is that criticism, by its nature, is generally just an opinion, and usually it focuses on the negative, so it rarely ends up being genuinely constructive or helpful.
That's a strong take. I can see that. Especially with how social media works.
Exactly. Social media just pours fuel on this fire, doesn't it? Everyone feels entitled to jump in with their 2 cents, offering solutions or opinions that often just deflate the person rather than build them up.
It's like drive-by critiquing.
Totally. The theater analogy used in the source material was really helpful here, I thought.
The idea of notes.
Yeah. When a director gives notes to actors after rehearsal, it's understood to be a very specific kind of feedback. It needs sensitivity, precision.
Right. It's not just, that was terrible.
No. It's about making specific adjustments. Maybe tweaking the timing of a line, changing a position slightly, small things aimed at improving the whole performance. It's about refinement, looking forward, not just saying, it's crap.
Which links back to that common, slightly awkward phrase people use.
May I give you some constructive feedback?
Yeah, that one. The sources point out that often that polite question is just a preamble to delivering a totally unfiltered personal opinion.
Like, I really didn't like when you did that, which, okay, that's your opinion, but how is that constructive? It's not forward-looking. It's just a statement of dislike.
And the timing of feedback is so crucial. And the empathy involved.
Hugely. Especially with performers. After a show, they're running on adrenaline, they're vulnerable, sensitive.
Right. In that moment, the sources argue, pretty much the only thing they want to hear, maybe the only thing they can really hear, is what they did well. Positive reinforcement.
Anything else, especially negativity disguised as constructive criticism, can just shut them down completely, make them defensive.
So the advice is, wait.
Yeah. Give the truly constructive, adjustment-focused feedback later, maybe the next day. Let the adrenaline subside.
Allow for a proper post-mortem.
Exactly. A calm assessment of how the whole thing, the show, the presentation, whatever it was, can be made even more brilliant next time. The focus shifts from finding fault in the moment to collaborative improvement later on.
That radio show example really illustrated this well.
Oh yeah, the practical application. How did that work again?
Well, the producers wouldn't bombard the hosts with criticism right after a show. Instead, at the start of the next show's prep.
The next day.
Right. They'd give maybe 1 or 2 key focus points based on the previous day's performance. Things to keep in mind for this show.
Okay. Gentle reminders?
Then, they might reinforce those points briefly during ad breaks. But the detailed, how about you try doing this instead, kind of feedback, that was saved for the next day's briefing session.
Ah, so it creates a cycle of continuous, manageable improvement rather than stressful post-show critiques.
Exactly. It reduced stress, people were more receptive, and performance actually improved more effectively in the long run. It's about setting people up to succeed, not just pointing out failures.
And these principles, they're not just for actors or radio hosts, are they?
Not at all. Think about business presentations, team meetings, even just like casual conversations.
Yeah, commenting on dinner, like the example given, that could have really benefited from more salt. Okay, maybe true, but is that helpful? Is it kind?
It comes back to that sense of entitlement to share our opinions, especially online, without really considering the impact or balancing it with any encouragement.
So when you boil it all down, what's the big takeaway from this whole feedback versus criticism discussion?
Well, the sources suggest it all circles back to one fundamental thing: respect.
Respect. Simple but profound.
Yeah. When we actually treat people with respect, when we make an effort to listen and understand where they're coming from, and when we apply ourselves, whether coaching, designing tech, or giving feedback in the right way,
And then what happens?
then, as the source beautifully puts it, we build bridges of respect, one conversation at a time. It's about fostering connection, enabling growth, not just tearing things down.
That's a great way to put it. Okay, so let's recap what we've covered in this deep dive today.
Right. We've really journeyed through three main areas. First, we looked hard at the ethics of guidance, the need for real experience and integrity, especially coaching, and the pitfalls of self-appointed expertise.
Uh-huh. The healing in public idea and the importance of doing the inner work first.
Then we vented a bit, probably along with you listening, about our ongoing battle with technology, the frustrations of overpromise, underdelivery, planned obsolescence.
And that whole culture of just discarding things instead of valuing durability or repair.
Yeah. And finally, we dissected communication, specifically tackling constructive criticism and highlighting the power of truly respectful, well-timed, forward-looking feedback, using things like the theater and radio examples.
Okay, so three seemingly separate topics: coaching, tech, feedback. But is there a thread connecting them all?
I think there is, yeah. It feels like it all comes back to the importance of genuine value, real substance, and human connection.
Over superficiality, quick fixes, unchecked opinions.
Exactly. Whether it's the expertise we seek, the tools we use, or the way we talk to each other, there's this underlying tension between the genuine and the superficial.
So maybe the final thought for you, our listener, to mull over is this. How can you take these insights about vetting experts, about dealing with tech, about communicating respectfully, and apply them?
How can you use them to better navigate the flood of information you encounter, the tools you rely on every single day, and maybe most importantly, the conversations you have? How do you build those bridges of respect?